Hey guys, going to be another movie review for you guys, and of course this is going to be the third film for Reviewed It, Never Falking Seen It, and if you guys did not see my first two videos, I've already reviewed The Spectacular Now and The Fisher King, and this is the third film I'm going to review, and that movie is a movie that I actually been wanting to see for quite some time now, and again, it's one of those films that actually isn't mine. My dad actually bought this, and I've been interested in it since it came out. But that is the 2013 sports drama Rush. Now, let's talk about this movie because I remember this is another movie that it came out in 2013. I was planning on seeing it, and for some reason, I just didn't. I don't know why, but I just didn't see it. And once again, it sat on shelves for years and years, and I had it was accessible for me for many years, and I had many chances to watch it, but I never watched it until now. And after watching Rush, what did I think of this movie? Overall, while Rush is not a perfect film, it was definitely a damn good one and a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I really enjoy Rush for the most part. I think it's a very compelling, highly thrilling story about a rivalry and about motivation and about passion. I think it handles that in a very delicate manner. But let's get to the plot of Rush, which the plot of this movie is very simple. We have two race car drivers. Now, this is based on true story. These are real people. You got James Hunt, who James Hunt is your typical celebrity type driver. He does the race car driving for the fame, and he eats it all up. He's got all these girls coming to him. He's just very famous for that, and everyone really loves him. You think he's just a very likable guy. That's who James Hunt is. But then you also have Niki Lauda, and Niki Lauda is the complete opposite of James Hunt. He takes race car driving a lot more seriously. He's into more of the technicality of it all and the different types of equipment and things like that. And he's always been fascinated with the idea of race car driving, and basically they have this rivalry throughout the film, and it's basically the trials and tribulations that they face throughout this rivalry, the outcomes that the various outcomes that they face as the years go on, and that's really all I'm going to say about Rush. But let's just get in this movie, starting off with the cast. Now, for a film like this that is based on a true story, it really is important how the casting is, and the casting for this film is great. I really think they did a great job casting, particularly the two main leads are both fantastic. Chris Hemsworth in this role was really great. I really loved him as this character of James Hunt. This is when Chris Hemsworth was really starting to, become a big name. He had just done Thor, and probably a lot of people were expecting to do something similar to this, but this is really the movie where people are like, what, Chris Hemsworth is actually a really good actor, and he does a really great job with this performance because it's completely different from Thor. I mean, this guy is really confident. You can tell he's been, doing this for quite a few years. He loves the fame, but he's not really cocky about it either. Like, he definitely isn't the most, I'd say, selfless guy, but he's not a complete dick about it. He just enjoys the fame, and he enjoys, the win and things like that. You can understand why he does, and I really did like that with his character. I think he really kept his character very grounded, and I really did love that. He definitely did a very good job here. You're very much rooting for his character throughout the film, especially in the first half of the film. You're like, okay, this is definitely going to be the hero of the story, and I think he did a very good job with that. I really loved his performance here, and I think he definitely did a very good job. However, the absolute star of this movie, as good as Chris Hemsworth is, Daniel Brühl steals the show here. He was incredible as Niki Lauda. Not only because Niki Lauda, like I said, I think, the more compelling one, definitely. James Hunt is still interesting, don't get me wrong, but Niki Lauda is the most interesting of the two because he's a lot more obsessed with cars. He's got a father who feels that the Lauda name should go to, a lawyer or a doctor. He doesn't feel that his son is, his son is really focusing on a serious career. He doesn't think it's a serious enough career. He doesn't really think this is something that's actually going to help his son. He thinks it's just going to make him look like a fool. He's got, a lot of people who are kind of denying how great he really is at it. And through the film you realize, no, this guy actually is the one we should be rooting for. And I really did love where they take Niki Lauda in this film. There's a lot of stuff that he faces here. One thing I'm definitely not going to spoil, I'm sure you guys probably know about, but just for the sake of, just for the sake of, entertainment-wise, I don't want you guys to know what happens to Niki Lauda, but he faces a pretty big, definitely a very big tragedy, and there's definitely something really shocking that happens to him, and for a while it kind of does stall his career, and I really did like seeing that journey. I thought he did a great job, and Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Brühl are just electric on screen together. You really do feel this rivalry, but it's not the kind of rivalry that you've seen in other films. This isn't one of those sort of like, they're acting childish, or they just hate each other, they have this petty rivalry for no reason. No, really the reason that they have a rivalry is because they really fucking love race car driving, and they really want to be good at it, and they know they're good at it, and that's really what motivates them. James Hunt wants to beat Niki Lauda. Niki Lauda wants to beat James Hunt, and the way they kind of help out each other with that is kind of a way I haven't really seen it done before, and I think they did an incredible job with that, and that is definitely one of the highlights of this film, is their chemistry together. At the end of the day, they are very fair about it. They're not really, like I said, immature or anything, which was just a very refreshing take on something that you think you've seen before, and they did a very good job with making it a lot more grounded and, grounded in reality than I think it could have been. Now, as for the rest of the cast, I thought they were fine. I didn't really think anyone particularly stuck out. Olivia Wilde is really good as James Hunt's wife in the film. I think she definitely did a very good job. As well as Alexandra Maria, she also was really good here. She plays Lauda's love interest, and they're fine in the film. The problem is they just don't get the amount of depth that the other two do, and the film doesn't really need to do that necessarily. You could definitely make that argument, but I feel like in something like this, I just want a little bit more development there, and I didn't really feel like we got that development that we needed. It was cool to see Olivia Wilde do a British accent. She actually did a very good job with that, but as a whole, I think the casting was definitely very good. I don't really think there was anyone that was bad here. I think everyone really did do a good job, and that definitely is one of the highlights of the film. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, because that really is one of the things that really does make this film. I think the directing here is great. The way that Ron Howard portrays the story, I love the way he did this, because he did keep things very fun. This movie is a lot of fun to watch. It moves at a very brisk pace, and I really liked it with his directing. It's just a very fun movie to watch. It's a film where it's not really something that's too overly complicated. It's rather simplistic, and I like that he went with that tone. But he also took it seriously. He didn't try to turn this into a comedy. He took it quite seriously, and he told the story as it is, and I think he definitely did a good job with directing it. But there were some points where I thought he played it a little too safe. I mean, the film doesn't exactly go beyond these two really love race car driving. I just want a little bit more with these characters, I'm not gonna lie. I think if he just gave them a little bit more of a motivation, just go a little more in depth, especially with James Hunt, because Lauda is very much fleshed out throughout the film. I think definitely he was very well fleshed out. Hunt was fleshed out, but I don't feel he was as fleshed out as Lauda was, and I feel like he could have gone a little more in depth with, Hunt. What is his past been? What is he really pursuing? And I get it that it was supposed to be Lauda's film, really. Like, he definitely was the center of the film. But I just want a little bit more with Hunt. I feel like he just could have done a little bit more there, and I just kind of wish he did more. But the screenplay in general, I thought was definitely very well done. I thought that it had a really great message, like I said, about passion, and how if you have a passion for something, you should pursue it, and how even if you have a rival, that's not going to stop you. If you're good at it, then you are good at it, and you're not going to let anyone else get in your way and tell you that you're not good. And I think they had a very good message of that, of, fuck the haters, fuck the system, fuck whoever has put you down in life. Don't listen to them, because they can't do what you can do. If you have a talent for something, go out and pursue it, and I think that was handled quite well. Like I said, my only real downfall of this movie is that we've seen this done a million times. They don't really do exactly anything new with this story that I haven't seen done before, minus the rivalry thing. That was definitely very cool. The way they play the rivalry in this movie, it's very important, but like I said, it's done in a way I haven't really seen it done before, and that really did stick out. But other than that, this is pretty much beat for beat every sort of, rivalry type movie you've seen. I mean, definitely a lot of the common tropes are in this film. I'm not going to lie. However, the cinematography to this film is incredible. One, you really do feel like you're in the 70s. They did a very good job with portraying that. That's something that's always paramount to films that are based on a true story. That's something that I always gripe on. You guys know that whenever a film, does not look like it's in the time period it is, I always, I always fault the film for that. But I like that this film was in the 70s. It didn't try to modernize it. It stayed in the 70s. You felt like you were in that time period, and they did a very good job with that. The soundtrack as well is also 70s, and it's a pretty great soundtrack. But the racing scenes in particular are really, really thrilling, and at times you really do feel like you're there, like you're watching these two battle it out. And what's great about the film is that you really don't know who you should root for, and there aren't many sports films that are like that. Look at Rocky, for example. Obviously, you side with Rocky throughout the film. You don't ever side with Creed. I don't think there's a point where you side with Apollo Creed. Maybe at some point you do, but most of the film you're siding with Rocky. Or take something like, Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans, you're rooting for the Titans. You're rooting for that team and not the other team. This movie, you very much go back and forth between James Hunt and Niki Lauda, and I really love the way the film did that. I really have not seen many sports films do that, and that's something I really like, that they concentrate on the reality. Doesn't really focus a lot on the sports of it all, and I was happy with that. I like sports films that are like that. You guys know I'm not a sports person, ever. I never will be. It's just not something that interests me. The technicality, if, the different positions, I don't understand it. I don't care enough to understand it, really. I think I definitely could understand it, but I just don't simply care enough to understand it, and I've just never really been into it. So films like this, I'm always kind of like, oh, I don't know about this, but once I get into it, I was very much into it. I don't really think there was a scene that was bad. There were a couple scenes here and there I think could have been a little bit shorter than they were, particularly some scenes in the first half of the film involving Hunt and some of the girls he's with. I just thought some of those scenes went on a bit too long, but as a whole, guys, I thought that the editing was very smooth. It was 2 hours and 3 minutes, and it really did fly by for me. I was into the movie pretty much the whole time, as I said, minus a few scenes here and there. And the ending as well. I really love the way the ending went, because you think you know where the ending is going to go, especially when a certain thing happens to Lauda and then something else happens. You're like, okay, I think I know where this is going to go. But the way it ended, I was actually quite surprised with how things turned out, and I thought they definitely did a very good job with it. Again, it is based on a true story, and that's very hard to do when you have a film that's, one, based on a true story, but also is very similar to a bunch of other films. It's hard to make it original, but they really did make it surprising in the end, so I thought they did a very good job with that. I was very impressed with the way the end of the film turned out, and again, I really did not see the way things escalate at the end to be the way it would end. I thought they did a very good job with that. As a whole, guys, I really did love Rush a lot more than I thought it was going to. It's not a perfect film. I've seen many films like it before. Like I said, I think there could have been more of a reason for Hunt and things like that, and just delve a little bit more deeper into their past and give more of the characters. But what we get here is pretty damn great. The rivalry is great. The race car scenes are very thrilling. You really do get into it. Even if you don't like race car scenes, these are still very thrilling, and you can't help but watch. I mean, they're really thrilling to watch these two battle it out, and let me tell you, that is enough for the price of admission. Like, that is definitely enough for this film for me. When it really came down to it, I really had a great time at Rush, and I'm definitely going to give Rush a 4 out of 5 or a B+. So overall, guys, some of a long overdue review of Rush. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. If you haven't seen it, love your thoughts on it. And now comes the time where I'm going to tell you the next movie I'm going to review. Alright, guys, so once again, these are the list of films that I will be reviewing to you guys. I added a few new ones if you guys are interested, but once again, we're going to click randomize. And the next film I'm going to be watching is The Man Who Knew Too Much, which is an Alfred Hitchcock film that I've wanted to watch for a while, so definitely look forward to that. So definitely look forward to that, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get that movie review up tomorrow, but I will definitely try to get to it in the next few days. I've been wanting to review another Alfred Hitchcock movie for a long time now, so happy that I'm going to get to watch another one. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of Rush, if you have seen it. And I will see you guys in my next video, which I think will be for Riverdale. Don't quote me on that. I'm behind one episode, so I will review that, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.